It was supposed to be an ordinary summer evening. A mom, a little girl, and a small-town baseball game under fading stadium lights. But in the time it took for a mother to blink, her daughter disappeared forever. No one heard a scream. No one saw a struggle. All that remained was a rumor about a strange man, an old red pickup, and an empty parking lot. For nearly 3 decades, this case stayed unsolved, until DNA hidden in a rusted truck finally revealed the dark secret behind Morgan Nick's disappearance. But what really happened that night? And could there be more victims? Before we dive into the twists and heartbreak of this case, don't forget, subscribe for more true crime mysteries, and hit the like button if you're ready to uncover the truth. Chapter 1. The night everything changed. It was June 9th, 1995, a hot, sticky Friday night in Alma, Arkansas. Tiny town, big summer ritual, Little League baseball under the lights. 6-year-old Morgan, Nick wasn't a baseball fan, but her mom, Colleen, thought it might be a fun outing. They'd left Morgan's younger brother and sister with Grandma and driven 30 miles from Ozark to Alma, a small gamble for a bit of mother-daughter time. The crowd was bigger than Colleen expected. About 300 people packed the bleachers. Parents chatted, teenagers flirted by the soda machines, and little kids ran circles around the stands. Morgan, shy but playful, soon spotted 2 kids she knew. They invited her to chase fireflies near a grassy slope by the parking lot. At first, Colleen hesitated. It was dusk, the shadows stretched long. But her friends reassured her. Kids always play here. Everyone knows everyone. So Colleen watched as Morgan ran off, her blonde hair catching the last streaks of daylight. Every few minutes, Colleen's gaze flicked from the field to the kids. Morgan was never completely out of sight until she was. The game ended. Parents clapped. Kids started drifting back to the bleachers. Colleen glanced at the slope. No Morgan. She looked again. Still nothing. Panic began to crack through her calm. She rushed to the other kids. "Where's Morgan?" They explained that before coming back, they'd stopped by a dusty car in the parking lot to shake sand from their shoes. Morgan was right there, behind the car, they said. When they were done, they turned around and she was gone. At first, the kids assumed Morgan had walked ahead to find her mom. But she wasn't at the bleachers. She wasn't by the vending machines. She wasn't anywhere. Colleen ran to the parking lot, heart pounding. She checked inside her own car. Empty. Seconds turned into minutes. Minutes felt like hours. Then came the realization every parent dreads. Morgan was gone. The search begins. At 10:45 p.m., Colleen called police. Officers arrived within 6 minutes, a quick response that showed how seriously they took the call. They talked to the 2 kids who'd been with Morgan. Bit by bit, a chilling picture formed. They'd noticed a man in the parking lot. He looked around 25 to 30, about 6 feet tall, average build, with a beard and dark hair. He drove an old red pickup truck with a white camper shell, a detail that set off alarms. A camper shell could easily hide a child. The man had spoken to the kids, though they couldn't recall exactly what he'd said. He had a country accent, they remembered, and he wasn't wearing a shirt, just jeans. Police rushed to search the parking lot, but the red pickup was gone. The community responds. Word spread fast in Alma. Dozens of locals joined the search. Officers combed the stadium grounds with flashlights, shouting Morgan's name into the warm night air. The FBI joined in. Helicopters scanned the area. Dogs tracked Morgan's scent, but it faded quickly in the parking lot, right where that red truck had been. Within hours, Morgan's face was on TV. Flyers covered shop windows and telephone poles. A composite sketch of the suspect was shared across Arkansas. The bearded man with the pickup. For a brief moment, it felt like answers might come quickly. The first leads and first dead ends. That same weekend, police got a tip. Hours before the game, a man in a red truck tried to lure a 4-year-old girl into his vehicle near a laundromat in Alma. Her mother came outside. Just in time, the man sped off. Then another tip. In nearby Fort Smith, a man matching the same description tried to coax a 9-year-old girl into a public restroom. She got away. The suspect sketch matched. The red truck matched. But when police searched for trucks like it, They found thousands across Arkansas. They checked hundreds of owners. Nothing stuck. Hourglass not done, the clock ticks. As night turned to dawn, Colleen refused to leave the stadium. She spent the night at the local fire station, hoping for a miracle phone call. Days became weeks. The media camped outside Alma. Volunteers searched fields, creeks, and abandoned sheds. But no trace of Morgan. It felt like she'd been swallowed by the earth. If you're still with us, stick around. The next chapter reveals chilling new evidence, a wave of false confessions, and the suspect who almost slipped through forever. Like and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Ready? Let's keep going. The day after Morgan Nick vanished, Alma felt different. Posters bearing her 6-year-old face fluttered on every pole. Parents held their kids closer. Kids weren't allowed to play out of sight. The town's easy summer rhythm turned to suspicion and fear. The investigation intensifies. By morning, local police had called in the FBI. Agents spread across Alma, interviewing every person who'd been near the stadium. They mapped the parking lot, measured distances, recreated the kids' last moments, stopping by the car, shaking out sand, looking up, and seeing Morgan was gone. Then came the chilling constant. We saw a man in a red pickup. The red truck becomes the centerpiece. Every detail mattered. Old model, maybe late 1970s or early 80s. Arkansas license plates. White camper shell, slightly too short for the truck bed, making it look awkward. And the driver, white male, 23 to 30 years old, though some thought older. Beard and mustache, dark hair, country accent. He'd been near the kids. He'd spoken to them. And now Morgan was gone. Too many trucks, too few clues. Police broadcasted the sketch across state lines. Hotlines flooded with tips. I saw that truck at a gas station. My neighbor drives one just like it. I think that man was at the grocery store. Each lead felt urgent, but investigators faced a maddening reality. Red pickups with camper shells were everywhere. Thousands in Arkansas alone. Detectives chased every tip. Door knocks, background checks, interviews. One by one, each truck was cleared. The hours, the days, the adrenaline vanished into paperwork. A pattern of fear. Then came a chilling pattern. Hours before the game, a mother had been doing laundry at a small laundromat in Alma. Her 4-year-old daughter stood near the door. A red truck rolled up. The driver leaned out, spoke softly. "Come here, sweetie." The girl froze. At that moment, her mother stepped outside. The man slammed the truck into gear and drove off. Just a day later, another story surfaced. In Fort Smith, 20 miles away, a man matching the same description tried to lure a 9-year-old girl into a public restroom. She resisted, ran, and escaped. Each detail matched. Red pickup, beard, country accent. Police grew convinced. Morgan's abduction wasn't random. Someone had been hunting. Desperate for evidence, officers returned to the stadium. They scoured the parking lot and grassy slope, searching inch by inch. They collected cigarette butts, soda cans, bottle caps, anything that might carry DNA. Every piece went to the lab, but DNA testing in 1995 wasn't what it is now. Results came back. Inconclusive, degraded, or simply useless. No fingerprints. No fibers that matched Morgan's clothes. No clue to where she'd been taken. The flood of calls and false leads. As weeks passed, hope mixed with horror. Detectives got hundreds of calls. Some sincere. I saw a red truck on Route 71. A man was staring at kids near the park. Others darker. I know where she's buried. I have her. Each call sent police racing. Fields dug up, houses searched, ponds drained. One tip claimed Morgan was buried in Boonville, an hour from Alma. The caller knew details only police had. Detectives rushed there, shovels in hand. They found nothing. A community on edge. Alma changed. Kids no longer played unsupervised. Parents kept their eyes locked on playgrounds. The empty seat at Colleen Nick's dinner table became a daily wound. The suspect sketch hung in every diner, gas station, and grocery store. Yet nobody recognized him. Or if they did, fear kept them silent. The heartbreak of false hope. 2 weeks after the disappearance, a man in Stuttgart, a town 3 hours away, called police. He said he'd caught a man trying to break into his car. As the suspect fled, he claimed he was holding a little girl's hand. She looked just like Morgan. Police moved fast, helicopters, roadblocks, dozens of officers combing a 10-square-mile area. Morgan's parents drove to Stuttgart, hearts racing. For 16 hours, the town was turned upside down. Then the truth unraveled. The man who called had lied. He admitted he'd only seen a shadowy figure, no girl at all. Police were furious. He was arrested for making a false report, a crime that cost time, resources, and hope. But the damage was done, a fresh wound for a family already drowning in fear. The days become weeks. As June turned into July, Morgan's face became a symbol. Colleen Nick, refusing to wait, turned grief into action. She founded a nonprofit dedicated to finding missing children. She spoke at schools, on TV, to anyone who would listen. Don't look away. Don't say it can't happen to you. The FBI built age progression images, imagining Morgan at age 10, then 12, then 16. Each picture hurt more than the last. Leads trickled in. Every few months, hope reignited, then died. And always in the background, the red pickup truck, a ghost on wheels that no one could catch, a stubborn mystery. By the end of 1995, police had investigated. Over 1,500 leads, hundreds of red trucks, dozens of known offenders, but nothing explained what had happened in those silent seconds on June 9th. Morgan Nick had vanished as if swallowed by the night. Stick around, because in the next chapter, we meet the man who almost got away forever. We'll also see how technology decades later brought a break police thought would never come. Like and subscribe to follow every chilling twist of this story. Ready? Let's keep going. Years passed, leads dried up. The little blonde girl with the shy smile became a photo on flyers turning brittle in the Arkansas sun. Yet behind the scenes, detectives never stopped watching one man. A man who had slipped through their fingers twice. A name on the radar. His name was Billy Jack Lynk. In the early weeks after Morgan's disappearance, his name surfaced more than once. Billy was an outsider. Lived alone, had a criminal record for crimes against minors, and critically drove an old red pickup with a white camper shell. It fit almost too perfectly. Detectives questioned him. They searched his truck. They pressed him about where he'd been on June 9th, 1995. Billy denied everything. He was older than the sketch, 70 years old, while witnesses thought the suspect was 25 to 30. Police studied his face. Something fell off. Yet, with no physical evidence, no confession, no witness who could say, that's the man, they had to let him go. Billy Lynk faded back into the background. But the danger hadn't passed. Warning, 2 months later, a near miss. Just 2 months after Morgan vanished, Billy struck again. A mother and her young daughter stood outside a store. Billy tried to lure the girl toward his truck. The mother, sensing danger, stepped between them. Billy backed off, got in his pickup, and drove away. This time, police caught him. They arrested Billy for attempted abduction. He was convicted and sent to prison. But Morgan's case still wouldn't stick. Detectives couldn't prove he'd been in Alma that night. The technology wasn't ready, and Billy wasn't talking. While Morgan's family clung to hope, Billy sat behind bars, his secrets locked inside. The years roll by. Billy Lynk died in prison in 2000, just 5 years after Morgan vanished. He took whatever he knew to the grave. For many, that seemed to be the end. No confession, no trial, no justice. The case turned cold. Files moved to back shelves. Detectives retired. Memories faded. Yet every time a new detective picked up the file, Billy's name was there, circled, underlined, marked in red. A new hope DNA. 2 decades later, science caught up. In the late 2010s, a new generation of detectives reviewed cold cases across Arkansas. Morgan's file landed back on a desk. They saw what their predecessors had always seen. The red truck, the camper shell, Billy Lynk. But now, they had DNA technology unthinkable in 1995. If they could find Billy's truck, maybe, just maybe, they'd find evidence no one had been able to see. The hunt for the truck. Locating a vehicle almost 30 years old isn't easy. Most end up scrapped, crushed or rusting in fields. Detectives traced ownership records, DMV files, insurance papers. The trail twisted through auction lots and private sellers. Then, shockingly, they found it. Billy's red pickup still existed. It was in the hands of a private owner in rural Arkansas, old, battered, but running. When police knocked, the owner agreed to help. A forensic gamble. Forensic teams descended on the truck. Every inch was searched. Under seats, inside the camper shell, beneath old carpet, along the rusting truck bed. After decades, heat and time could have erased everything. But the team found something small, a few long, blonde hairs tangled in the truck bed seam. They bagged them, labeled them, and shipped them to a cutting-edge lab in Texas. The wait. DNA takes time. Weeks turned into months. For Morgan's family, it was a familiar agony, waiting for a phone call that might finally answer the question that haunted them every day. Then, nearly 8 months later, the call came. A breakthrough. The lab had extracted DNA from the hair. They compared it to Colleen Nick's DNA, Morgan's mother. The results showed a first-degree biological match, meaning the hair had come from Morgan herself or her brother or sister. But neither of Morgan's siblings had ever been near that truck. Only Morgan could have left that hair there. The announcement. On October 1st, 2024, nearly 29 years after Morgan Nick vanished, police held a press conference. They declared, "We now believe Billy Lynk was responsible for the abduction of Morgan Nick." They called the evidence compelling, credible, and final. The red pickup, long suspected, long searched for, had delivered the answer. A bittersweet truth. Billy couldn't be arrested. He died 24 years earlier. There would be no trial, no cross-examination, no confession. But after almost 3 decades, the Nick family finally had an answer. Morgan had been in that truck. Billy had taken her. What happened to Morgan? Detectives suspect Morgan died soon after her abduction. They believe Billy hid her remains somewhere, likely somewhere familiar to him. Without a confession, finding her grave remains heartbreakingly difficult. Yet police say the search isn't over. They vow to keep looking for Morgan's remains to bring her home at last. More victims? Billy Lynk was 70 when he abducted Morgan. Could this have been his first crime? Detectives doubt it. He served in the military during World War II. He had convictions for crimes against minors, and he attempted another abduction just weeks after Morgan disappeared. Police are now reopening other cold cases, suspecting Billy may have hurt more children. Legacy. Morgan's case became one of Arkansas's most infamous crimes. In her memory, the state renamed the Amber Alert system to Morgan Alert. Colleen Nick turned heartbreak into hope. Her nonprofit still helps search for missing kids. She supports families going through the same nightmare she lived nearly 3 decades later. She still holds a small hope that Morgan might somehow be alive. If this story moved you, subscribe for more true crime stories that fight to bring answers, even after decades. And stay tuned. In the next chapter, we'll look at the powerful legacy Morgan Nick left behind, and how a mother's love became a light for thousands of other missing children. Ready? Let's keep going. Even after the press conference, the questions didn't stop. Morgan Nick was 6 years old when she vanished. Her case haunted Arkansas for nearly 3 decades. And even with a suspect named, a hair matched, and investigators certain of the truth, one thing still remained heartbreakingly out of reach. Where is Morgan? A mother's vow. Colleen Nick remembers the night like it happened yesterday. A baseball game. A flash of freedom for a little girl catching fireflies. A single second of looking away, and life changed forever. For years, Colleen refused to leave Alma. She slept on the floor of the local fire station, hoping Morgan might somehow find her way back. When weeks turned to months and months into years, Colleen made a promise. As long as I'm alive, I will keep searching for my daughter. The relentless search. Detectives try to keep that promise too. They chase thousands of leads, old wells, abandoned buildings, rivers and woods. In 2002, they dug up a yard in Boonville after a caller claimed Morgan's body was buried there. Nothing. In 2010, They searched a house tied to a man imprisoned for crimes against minors. Again, nothing. Even after naming Billy Lynk, police didn't stop. They're still looking for her remains today. The DNA breakthrough and its limits. The tiny hairs found in Billy's truck bed proved Morgan had been there. But that's all they proved. They can't say where Billy took her. They can't reveal what happened next. They can't explain why. Without a confession, the timeline of Morgan's final moments is a puzzle with missing pieces. Police believe she was killed soon after her abduction. But where she was hidden or why Billy targeted her remains locked away forever. Other victims? Billy Lynk was 70 years old when he took Morgan. Could a man commit such an organized, brazen crime as his first? Investigators doubt it. They suspect Billy had a history that stretched back decades. Other children, other towns, other families left without answers. Police are now re-examining unsolved disappearances in the region, wondering if Billy's red pickup was seen there too. Some answers may still come, turning pain into purpose. For Colleen, grief never ended, but it evolved. In the months after Morgan vanished, she created a non-profit to help other missing children. She worked tirelessly, speaking at schools, helping investigators, comforting other families living the same nightmare through her organization. She became the voice for countless children whose names never made headlines. She took the worst night of her life and turned it into hope for others. The Morgan Alert. Morgan's story changed Arkansas forever. When lawmakers created an emergency broadcast for child abductions, they named it the Morgan Nick Amber Alert, known locally as the Morgan Alert. Every time that alert sounds, it carries her name. A reminder of a 6-year-old girl with blonde hair and bright eyes, a child who deserved a future stolen by someone who shouldn't have been free. The years go on. Photos of Morgan age progressed every few years. They showed who she might have become. A teenager with braces, a young woman ready for college, a mother with her own children. Colleen kept every image. They were proof that Morgan still existed in hope, even when evidence said otherwise. What remains? After 29 years, this is what we know. On June 9, 1995, Morgan Nick vanished from a baseball field in Alma, Arkansas. Witnesses saw a man near a red pickup truck with a white camper shell. Decades later, Morgan's hair was found in that truck. The man, Billy Lynk, died in prison in 2000, never confessing. No trial, no courtroom justice, but finally, some answers. A hole that never heals. Morgan's family still doesn't have a grave to visit. They can't bring her home. They can't say goodbye. That pain doesn't fade. It becomes part of daily life, a shadow at birthdays, holidays, quiet mornings. And yet, Colleen keeps going. Morgan made me a mother. And as her mother, my job isn't finished until she comes home. Why this story matters. Morgan's case is a lesson and a warning. A reminder that even small towns aren't always safe. That predators don't always look like monsters. And that sometimes evil hides behind an old man's smile. But it's also a story of love that refuses to give up. Of a mother who turned tragedy into action. Of police who kept chasing a suspect even after death. And today, the search continues. Somewhere in Arkansas, or maybe far beyond, Morgan Nick's remains may still be waiting to be found. Detectives say they won't stop. Neither will Colleen. Your turn. If you know anything, even the smallest detail, you could help finish this story. Share Morgan's story. Keep her name alive. Because someone, somewhere, might hold the missing piece. If this story moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps Morgan's memory alive and helps more unsolved cases get the attention they deserve. Thank you for watching.